Hey guys, Bryan here from Liquid Concepts. So today we're going to talk a little bit about blast cabinets and what all you might need whenever you're getting into, of course, the hydrographics industry. So, of course, behind me we have a large blast cabinet, and so this is, of course, our one that we have here at our facility. But of course, they make all different kinds, all different sizes, and so that's kind of what we wanted to do, is take a quick little dive into what all makes a good blast cabinet and what to look for whenever you're looking at trying to add a blast cabinet in your facility. So of course, let's start out with the outside of the unit itself. So the first thing is this one is, of course, made out of all metal. It's all coated, so that way you're not going to get any rust or anything like that, and that's going to be pretty much standard across the board with any of them. The other thing is that with this one, you can clearly see this was just two units that they've actually welded together. And so we've got a viewing window over here. We've also got another viewing window and operator station over here. So a person can go into this area over here. They can also go into that area depending on how large the item is. So of course, this one was made for actually doing bumpers, things like that. So it's a very long, very big area. So that way you have plenty of room to flip a bumper around, things like that. We love having a larger area because, especially if you're doing wheels or even bumpers or anything like that, for us, whenever we get them in, even if we're not even dipping them and we're just painting them, we can still get a lot better prep work on the bumper because we're able to fit it in the blaster itself. So of course, the blaster is always going to be a lot better for the prep work because you're going to be able to get into all those little areas. So especially if you're looking at for guns or things like that, you can clearly see whenever we're blasting here that it gets everything off back down to bare metal, and everything looks spectacular, exactly the way that we want it for the prep work that's going to be needed. Whether we're doing the hydrographics or a cerakote job or just custom paint work, this is definitely going to be the best base for a good foundation. So of course, as you can definitely tell, we have the windows in here. Now, the one thing that we do have that is really neat is that we have these little systems right here to where you can actually pull these down and you get a brand new window, because inevitably as you're blasting, all of this stuff right here, it's going to be on the inside, so that way it gets all pelted with the media, things like that. Works really well. We actually use it quite a bit. Let's talk about as well what makes up a good sandblaster. So of course, any sandblaster is going to create tons of dust, so that's where a good dust collector really comes in handy. So of course, with something like this right here, you're going to need a really big dust collector because you have so much surface area that you're able to fit inside that blast cabinet. Of course, we do have a full industrial size dust collector, but you may have just a smaller cabinet, so therefore you can use, say, a smaller shop vac or even some of the smaller dust collection systems that they have available on the market. But either way, if you're looking at a blast cabinet, you always want to make sure that you have a dust collector of some sort, so that way as you're blasting, you can clearly see, and of course, whenever you can see better, you can also do a lot better job on the blasting profile itself. So definitely make sure you have a really good dust collector, because that's going to be a big thing for getting the dust out as well as being able to see in the unit itself. Another big thing to definitely remember is that they make two different kinds of sandblasters. So of course, with a unit like this one right here, this is what's called a pressure fed unit. And so what we have is we have a big pressure pot that is over here underneath our reclaim unit, and it holds all the media. So the media is not actually held down here like what's in a suction blaster. And so a suction blaster, the media is all contained in this one unit, and it doesn't have another standalone unit. So definitely, whenever you're looking at production wise, a pressure fed unit like what we have is going to be a lot quicker, a lot easier, and a lot of people don't realize this, but you can actually use less air by using a pressure fed blaster like this right here compared to a suction blaster. On the flip side of that, let's talk about suction blasters. So suction blasters, of course, have all the media down here in the bottom of the unit itself. And so all they do is they have a tube that goes down in it, and then of course it sucks it up and then blows it out through a Venturi effect. And so by using a suction blaster, you're actually going to use a lot more air, because you are going to be blasting it normally around 80 to 100 psi no matter what, because you have to create the velocity of the air going through the gun itself to create the suction to pull up the media itself. The other thing is that these are going to be what you're probably going to see through maybe Harbor Freight or Eastwood or anything like that that sells just any type of blast cabinet that's going to be a lot cheaper. Those are going to be just entry level, getting started, and all of that. Now, we started with one of those and it worked great. The only thing was that it was slow. It was a really small unit. And of course, we found out very quickly that that was actually the bottleneck to our whole production. And so we ended up getting a unit like this one right here. This is definitely a more commercial grade unit, but this has definitely made everything go so much faster. We can prep out jobs for a whole week just in one day of blasting on this thing right here. So if you have the funds available for a pressure blaster, I would highly recommend it. Your life is going to be a lot easier and a lot quicker with all the jobs that you're going to be able to process. But if you don't and you're just starting out, then of course the suction blaster is still a great blaster. Just make sure that you know those things going into it. One thing that you'll notice in our blaster is that we have rubber matting going all the way around the sides of it. The rubber mat definitely helps out a lot in making sure that the blaster itself is not worn out over time, because this is a big blaster. We're going to be using it for years and years, so you want to make sure that that rubber mat is there to help pretty much ricochet all of the media back off of the rubber, and of course it's not eating into your metal frame or anything like that. You'll also notice in here we've got some really good lighting all the way around the unit itself. The lighting really helps out. There's tons of different lighting options available. Of course, this is an older unit, so we do have the big bulbs like that, but the newer units, they have a really nice LED unit or something like that. So if you have the available funds for that, definitely get the upgrade, because you're going to definitely need it whenever you're blasting and all the dust and everything is stirring up. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed the video. Of course, if you have any questions or comments, definitely leave them below. We'd love to hear from you on anything blaster related, so that way we can know what your thoughts are on any of that. If you haven't already, definitely hit the subscribe button. We'd love to have you subscribe to our weekly tips and tricks on anything hydrographics related. Also, definitely check out the website, liquidconcepts.com. We have everything that you're going to need for anything hydrographics, from paints to trainings to tanks to anything in between. We have it all there on the website. I'm Bryan from Liquid Concepts, and this is how we customize your world. We'll see you guys next time.